Committee to order at 9:31. Unfortunately, Chris was on her way here, almost here, and got a call back to work, so she won't make it, but we've got a quorum. So, roll call, please.
Okay. Gershenson? Here. Hoffman?
Here.
Howell? Here. Kokendorfer?
Here.
Quarles is absent with notice. Long is absent with notice. Fleming?
Here. Okay.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to request a moment of silence for the massacre at the synagogue. This is an intensely personal occurrence for me, and I said to my husband this morning, how many times have I had to ask him to do for a moment?
Yes. Yes.
Too many.
It's getting too commonplace, Commissioner Gershon, and I totally agree. So let's pause for a moment of silence. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for that. Okay, the minutes are not ready yet for the October 25th, so we'll pass that. But I do want to stand for the pledge. It's not on the agenda, but I'd like to stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'll take a motion from Kokendorfer, second by Hoffman, to approve the agenda. Any changes to the agenda? Okay, if not, it's approved. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Anyone here for public comment? If not, we'll move on. Close public comment. First item on the agenda is Clerk Register of Deeds 2019 Survey and Remonumentation Grant Acceptance. And we've got Mr. Crank here to present that. Okay? We need a motion. Take a motion from Kowal, second by Gershon. Okay? Mr. Crank.
Yeah, this is a 26-year grant for remonumentation, and the state is budgeted $393,382 for this year's grant. Out of this grant, $47,274 would be paid back to, I think, the automation fund, which will clear the debt that we sent back in the late 1990s of $2,047,000. So this will be the last payment to that. So it'll be good there. And the balance of $346,000 we approved for the program itself. Corners, which will be doing 65 centers, and 36 corners will be updated with course data.
Cool. Thank you. Any questions? Comments? Okay. Commissioner Hoffman.
When will this program be finished? When will we have everything completed?
I was just at the meeting Thursday with the state, and we're going to kind of revisit our county program, and do a few amendments to it, add a few corners for the state. The money for the program has allowed a few different corners. We'll talk to Joe Kaplzak, who's the county rep, and find out what the survey community is requesting us to do out there. But we're looking at it, I was talking to Joe the other day, probably 2 years.
2 more years?
2 more years, yeah.
And this might be.
Now that we got the county paid back, we can take that $100,000 a year that was being used prior to pay that back and put it into the program, so we can get a lot done those 2 years.
Okay, my next question then is, we are getting a $4 recording fee now for this program.
Mm-hmm.
What happens to the $4 after?
That was visited last Thursday, and nobody really knows what goes in. Well, we're going through a maintenance program, but in 2023, as it's standing right now, this program in the state sunsets. So if they don't pick it back up, that $4, we don't have any idea where the money will go. If we go to maintenance program, we'll get less money.
Okay.
But if we want, I'm sure we can get Joe to find a lot of work if we want to keep the program continuing.
Okay.
As long as the state approves it.
Thank you.
Thanks. Commissioner Kowal.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to know, do you know if this remonumentation, I know of a situation on White Lake where
The boundary there?
yeah, the boundary resulted in a big dispute between neighbors and ultimately the one person getting edged out of their property. Has there been many situations of that?
Yeah, that really But yeah, that really was not a byproduct of the remediation program, which is, the remediation program kind of helped, you know, define things
Yeah.
where the property really was.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, comments? If not, roll call.
Fleming?
Yes.
Sorry, you're last.
I'm last, okay? Hey,
Gershenson?
first should be
Yes.
last.
The chair's always last. Hoffman?
Yes.
Coal?
Yes.
Kokendorfer?
Yes.
Fleming?
Yes, okay, motion carries. Item 2, thank you, Mr. Green. Item 2, Department of Health and Human Services Health Division, Amendment Number 6 of the interlocal agreement between the County of Oakland and Oakland County Health Network for Suicide Prevention Services. Take a motion from Gerson, support by Hoffman. Okay, Kathy.
Good
Presenting.
morning. This is the last year of a 5-year, Transforming Youth Suicide Prevention Grant. The funding comes through SAMHSA, and our partner agencies are OCHN and the Department of Health and Human Services with the state of Michigan. This isn't simply an amendment, which is increasing our allocation $8,451. We're
Good.
using that, increase, and also salary and wage decrease, which is freeing up some money due to a staffing change, is going to allow us to do more training in the ASSIST program. And that is to recognize the signs of suicide and teaching intervention skills to trainers across the county. And then we're increasing interpreter fees, and we're also increasing advertising slightly as well, too.
Okay. Commissioner Hoffman.
Who determines that they reduced it by $549?
Mm-hmm.
Reduce?
Says a decrease, but
A
I think
decrease
that's
from- Is that
I
correct?
think there's a typo there. There's actually an increase when you read the,
Yeah, there's an increase of $8,451.
Right.
Well, yeah, I heard that part, but then I saw the 549 decrease, so I didn't know what that was.
there's a typo on the summary. Yeah, it's just on the summary, cause when you read the detail itself, I remember reading that, there was, what, an 8,000? Trying to,
The resolution is
8,400, the
accurate.
resolution is accurate.
Right.
The $129,080, an increase of 8,451 from fiscal year funding of
Okay.
120. So it actually, so sorry about that, it's just on the summary, there was a typo, and thank you
All
for
right,
catching that,
that's where I
Commissioner
saw
Hoffman.
it.
But actually, in the resolution itself, it
It
is
is
correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're moving on the resolution there, but. Okay? Any other question? Okay, roll call, please.
Gershenson?
Yes.
Hoffman?
Yes.
Coal?
Yes.
Kokendorfer?
Yes.
Fleming?
Yes. Okay. Motion carried. Okay? Thank you. Kathy. Next one's yours too. Item number 3, Department of Health and Human Services Health Division, Oakland Schools Home Visitation Grant Acceptance. Take a motion from Hoffman, supported by Gerson. Okay? Kathy, present.
So this gives us some additional funding this year to add another special revenue position, a nursing position. And it is specifically tied to our expansion of the NFP program in the south part of the county. So the communities that we'll be working in will be Oak Park, Southfield, Madison Heights, Hazel Park, Royal Oak Township, Ferndale, Southfield, Lathrop, Clawson, Troy, and Berkeley. So, we put a nurse in that area last year, very well received. I'm certain it won't be long for a second nurse to, have a full caseload there as well. So we're getting funding for this year, and then hopefully we will have number of support to continue that motion.
Okay. Thank you, Kathy. Questions? Commissioner Gershenson.
Does this come under the visiting nurses' responsibilities? So what we do is our home visitation nurses have the ability to apply for this, to be in this program, and so it's only gonna be one additional additional nurse because they have to go for some specialized training in Denver, which is very costly. So rather than spread it amongst a few, doing it part-time, it's one full-time, and that's the way it should be anyways, because they carry a very specific caseload, and they work very intensively with those, mothers and children, so, it's for one nurse from that program.
Good. Other questions? If not, roll call, please.
Hoffman,
Yes.
Cowell,
Yes.
Kokendorfer,
Yes.
Gershenson,
Yes.
Fleming.
Yes. Okay, motion
Thank
carries.
you.
Okay, thank you, Kathy. Okay, item number 4, MR number 18349, Board of Commissioners designation of November 15th, 2018 as World Pancreatic Cancer Day in Oakland County. And I'll take a motion from Gershenson, supported by Kowal. Okay, and we have Commissioner Middleton presenting today, so.
Long ways down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not used to that.
Thank you, Commissioner, for
Yeah,
being here. Thank you.
I'm sponsoring this resolution.
Yes.
Because a good friend of ours has come down with pancreatic cancer. It's, in November 15th, we'll join the rest of the world observing, the Pancreatic Cancer Day. It's, and I think it's pretty common now, like, when you hear somebody that's got pancreatic cancer.
Yes.
It's just, the survival rate is very, very poor. And the main reason is because there's not really definite symptoms. And so if it's caught early, there's a pretty good cure rate, but it's very, very hard to catch it early. And so that's why the research and the awareness is brought in November. So, okay.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Middleton, for bringing this to us. Have comments? Commissioner Kowal, please.
Well, I'd just like to thank Commissioner Middleton for doing this. My
Yes.
mother-in-law passed away from pancreatic cancer back in 2002. She had a rare kind where she actually lived for like another 3 years beyond diagnosis. But ultimately, you know, so it's a terrible disease.
It really is. I think we've all been touched by it, our families. Commissioner
I'm
Gershenson.
sorry, I couldn't resist, but,
Yes.
I too, my family has been touched by pancreatic cancer, and I see that the rates are rising. In so many of our cancers, the rates are declining, and yet
Yeah.
here it's projected to be the number 2.
Yeah. One of the reasons is because it generally attacks people in their 70s and 80s, and we have a lot more people getting to 70 and 80. And I would imagine that's
Yep.
part of the reason that was that. So
Yeah.
it's a late in life cancer. And so the longer our life cycle.
We send it to a farm check.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
Old age is first enough for
Yes, it's not. Anyone else? If not, the roll call, please.
Cowell,
Yes.
Kokendorfer,
Yes.
Gershenson,
Yes.
Hoffman,
Yes.
Fleming.
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Middleton. Okay, item number 5, MR number 18352, Board of Commissioners requests the Secretary of State provide access to absentee voter data in the qualified voter file to Oakland County Elections Division. A motion by Kowal, support by Hoffman. Okay, and we've got 2 presenters today, Commissioner Kokendorfer, Commissioner Gershenson.
Well, thank you,
Please.
Mr. Chair. Adam and I are sitting in for Commissioner Quarles, but Commissioner Kokendorfer, myself, Commissioner Berman, and Commissioner Quarles were on the committee to look into what happened with the ballot shortage and had several community forums and really made a great effort to hear what the locals thought the problems were, what the local clerks were. And of course, Chris Ward did the yeoman's work on this whole, which is no surprise to anybody.
Always.
But is the first one the logo?
No, the first one's the absentee.
Okay, so, one of the things we heard repeatedly, and which I do have some concerns about November, is the spike in absentee applications. So, Chris had this great idea, and I'm gonna let you explain that.
So one of the issues in assisting with the county clerk in being able to
prepare and plan for the number of ballots that are needed, and this is really more specific to a primary election because they order 100% of the ballots for a November election. But of course, the issue we had with running out of ballots in August was being able to plan per precinct the number of ballots that are necessary. And we were off in a number of precincts in August because of the huge surge in turnout that we had in specific precincts, especially in the south and the southeast corner of the county. And had we been able to read the surging turnout in those areas, we probably would have been better prepared. One of the things that we found as we were discussing this and getting a better understanding of it is there's a lack of an ability from the county clerk and the elections department to follow the absentee ballots requests as they're coming in. So they've asked over the years to have that capability, and they were actually turned down by the Secretary of State. So this would provide a better data point for them, and what we've asked them to do is, if they were given that data point, is to work with IT to build a software program that would kind of create a real-time data monitoring program on an automatic basis, because I think we have like 540 some precincts in the county. To monitor that on a ongoing basis would be a big job. So
Right.
it's sort of a two-step thing. If we can get the data from the Secretary of State, then to get the data, and then to build some sort of program to use the historic absentee voter data, match it up, and then monitor it so that we don't have this happen again.
That
Right.
full level of data and detail is critical to this whole process, because it's a lot more complicated than just saying, oh, we got more absentee ballot applications, therefore we must have huge turnout. Maybe, but not necessarily.
Right.
For example, you just may have more people who are opting to vote absentee versus poll voters. So we really need that full buffet of detail that the Secretary of State's office has.
Well, particularly now that they've taken away straight party voting, many of us have been encouraging our voters, our residents, to vote absentee because we're expecting the lines to be significantly longer.
I agree. Okay. Questions, comments? Well, excellent job with that committee. This is just one of the recommendations that coming out of that, but we appreciate all your hard work and effort. I mean, it's going to help us in the long run for sure in the future. Okay, a roll call, please.
Kokendorfer,
Yes.
Gershenson,
Yes.
Hoffman,
Yes.
Kowal,
Yes.
Fleming.
Yes, motion carried. Okay. Item number 6, MR number 18353, Board of Commissioners request the Michigan Legislature reinstate political party logo vignettes on election ballots.
Picture of the donkey and
Yeah, I know what
Yeah,
you're.
so this is
At the
another one
va-
of the recommendations. So when the legislature moved to get rid of straight ticket.
Wait a minute,
party-
we need a,
I'm
think,
sorry,
a motion from Hoffman, support Pacova. Okay. Now,
Sure.
please proceed.
No, when the legislature, not used to being up here. When the legislature got rid of straight ticket party voting, it was almost inadvertent that they got rid of
Right.
the little pictures, the little vignettes. And my recollection is that Republicans, there was a picture of Lincoln, and Democrats had JFK. It switched. I don't know if it was Republican or Donkey, but something. And if you've seen if you haven't voted absentee, I mean, the ballot this year it's intimidating when you look at this thing. It's just this sea of words. Anything that we can do to make that clearer, to break that up. And in fact, one person made a comment that I hadn't thought of back when we did have straight ticket party voting. And by the way, it may come back at some point in the future. You have some people who still have difficulty reading, frankly, and relied on that picture to vote straight ticket. And so I think it would make sense, and the committee feels like it would make sense for a lot of reasons to bring that back.
And also, in some of the communities where there was intense ballot spoilage, and one of the reasons was because you can't cross in the
Right.
primary, that this would just be a tool to help people see the straight, what the party, how your party is represented, and that's such a common logo that we thought thought it was a no-brainer. I think somebody said it, they thought it might have even inadvertently
Right.
been left off.
Hmm.
Right.
So,
Okay. Comments? Anything? Okay. If not, thank you. Roll call, please.
Gershenson,
yes.
Hoffman,
Yes.
Cowell,
Yeah, yes.
Kokendorfer,
Yes.
Fleming.
Yes. Motion carries.
Can I just say, Mr. Chair, this
Yes.
committee worked amazingly well, and I wanted to commend our chairman for making it a 2-2 committee, because that is very unusual. I think in my 10 years, it's the first time I've ever seen a 2-2 committee, and I think we proved that
Can work together.
we can actually work well together.
No, I echo that. I mean, people referred to this as a bipartisan committee. I mean, it's really a nonpartisan issue.
Yes.
It's a nonpartisan issue. I felt like everybody was on the same page, and it did work out very well.
And I just wanted to say that I think we should all check with our clerks and see how they're feeling. I've already heard from some of my clerks that they're nervous again, that the absentee applications are huge. And so one of our recommendations was that there be a communication between our clerk's office and our local clerks. So I know we can't mandate that, but I would like to be sure that's happening and that our clerks are being listened to, especially those that are sensing bigger numbers.
Right, I mean, ballot shortages shouldn't be an issue this time, just because it's the general, but nevertheless, that communication is critical.
Yeah, great point. I think most people are concerned just by the length of the ballot being two-sided and so many things on it that they're gonna be long lines. So I'm not surprised more people are doing absentee votes, but I still think we're going to be experiencing some long lines, and that results in frustration, people wanting to vote before work or at lunch, and it's gonna be difficult. So I anticipate a good turnout, and that's what we want, but I don't think we can do anything about the long lines. We just have to be patient. Okay? Okay?
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Al.
All right.
Thanks.
We've got one communication, Clerk Register of Deeds, the 2019 Survey and Remonumentation Grant Application. Just need a motion from Hoffman, support from Cowell to receive and file. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. None. Motion carries. Okay.
Bring up
And we got one other piece of business
Yeah.
Mr. Ward wants to bring to our attention.
Yeah, so I've been meaning to grab you.
Okay,
Keep
thank
having
you.
these meetings right before the board meeting.
Sure.
On the Oak 200, the bicentennial
Yes.
committee that was set up,
This
there's
week.
two levels there. There's the executive committee, and then there's an advisory board. And
Okay.
Commissioner Gershenson was at our workshop over the weekend. And took part in that. On the advisory board, there's an open-ended thing there that the Board of Commissioners can appoint more people to it. And I've been meaning to come back to the general government and ask you if this is something we want to advertise for and begin to appoint more people to it. It's sort of set up as a body that we can appoint more professionals, educators, people from the community to. We started with the folks that were on the study group that originated that study that was brought to you a few months ago.
Yes.
Now that we have the executive committee in place, we can now take that next step. It's just sort of a question whether you want to begin that process or not.
Yeah. Well, the advisory committee there would like to have a larger, I mean, the executive committee would like to have a larger advisory board. Is that something they requested, or is that something that's coming out of this committee, your suggestion?
You know, I don't know that they've really given an answer on that
Okay.
yet or not. They've just begun. I think they've just had their first meeting.
Okay, I'll recognize Commissioner Gershenson.
Thank
You were there at the
So
meeting.
that's my question too. We have, in the resolution, we've given ourselves the power to,
Mhm.
okay, but shouldn't that power go to the executive committee? Shouldn't they make the recommendations and they review the applications, or no?
You know, the way we wrote it.
Right.
We wrote it so the Board of Commissioners make the appointment.
Because it seems like that's gonna take a lot longer to get people, working on that committee. I know people have come up to me and are interested in being on the, advisory committee. So if it has to come to us and then go to the full board, and it just seems like it's gonna take a lot longer.
Yeah.
I'd rather see the executive committee make the decision than come to us, you know, maybe one time, or, but
We could do it that way. We could amend the
Whatever
resolution.
you think.
I've got Commissioner Hoffman, then Commissioner Cole. Commissioner Hoffman.
How many people are on the executive committee now, and how many on the advisory?
The executive committee is set up with 3 members. It's set up as the chairman of the board, the minority caucus chair, and the executive, or their designee. So they've all designated somebody. Judge Warren is there on behalf of Chairman Gingell, and he was selected as the chairman of the executive committee. Commissioner Quarles is there on behalf of Commissioner Woodward, and Christy Zamora is there on behalf of Brooks Patterson. And then our advisory board is, I don't remember the number, but it's a study group that,
You're
so-
not on the executive committee.
I'm not on either.
I'm not either.
You know, you keep me busy enough.
Yeah.
So,
He's not volunteering.
But how
yet.
many on the advisory so far?
so far, I would say there's probably roughly 7, 8, 9, something like that.
Well, I think you don't wanna get too many, or you won't be able to manage what you do, I think, unless everybody has assigned tasks. But I agree with Commissioner Gershenson that maybe the way to do is we could amend the rules. You guys make the recommendation, do the interviews, whatever you need to do, and then just send it to us.
One of the reasons I ask is we've had interest.
Okay.
Since the resolution was passed, and we've had, some pretty, well-qualified, distinguished people in the community that have expressed an interest in it, so. We have, the applications for, being on boards and committees, so it's just a question of whether we want to extend that and bring those to you. The other way to do it would be to have the executive committee, review those. That could be, a good way to do it without bringing it to the Board of Commissioners.
Okay. Commissioner Cole.
So what you're saying then is they would make the recommendations and then we'd make the final approval?
Well, I've also heard another approach would be just to let the executive committee make the appointments themselves, whatever your pleasure.
I'm not either way.
I don't have any problem with that either.
Yeah.
Cut the red tape.
All right.
I think what's important, is we don't exclude anyone that, may really bring a lot of energy and benefit to this process, because we talked about encouraging the private sector to get involved. We've got some high-profile people or very qualified people that want to get involved. I mean, that could be a discouragement if we don't appoint them. But I would say that I'd prefer to let the advisory board handpick those too. They're gonna be doing it rather than us not knowing, because we could amend the process, Chris, so that we could let the advisory board do that. I'd be in executive board appoint the advisory board members. That would be fine with me. Commissioner Cole.
Do you know if the executive board is okay with doing this? I mean, it's a little bit extra burden on them, I guess, to review a bunch of.
I would imagine they'd be fine with it, but I can
Okay.
talk to Judge Warren and
All right.
confirm that, and then I'll bring you a resolution
Okay.
amending that process.
Thank you.
Okay.
And
Mr.
then one of
Gershenson.
the things that concerns me about putting it out to the press is that you are
Uh-huh.
gonna get a significant amount of interest. So I think I'd leave that up to the executive board too,
Yeah.
Yes.
because we have interest already from the public. There have been, press releases and there has been information given to the public. So whether or not they feel they should put it out again,
Yeah.
I would say it would be up to them.
There's a model in Macomb County that seems to have worked pretty well with their
Right.
advisory board, and so maybe, what they did with theirs is organize around specific tasks, for their board, and so if they, for educators, they, select 5 or 6 people in that group, and then once they've satisfied that, they no longer advertise for it. But not bringing it through here maybe makes some sense, so.
Okay.
Consult with them and then maybe bring a resolution to it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you,
That's all I
Chris.
needed was a little
Okay.
direction.
Well, thank you. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Anything else? If no other business, meeting is adjourned at 10:02.